ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः. Verse number 8. विषयेभ्यः परावृत्तिः परमो परतिर्हि सा सहनं सर्वदुःखानां तितिक्षा सा शुभा मता. This we have seen last two times we have seen that. And here we have two qualities or two qualifications. One is uparati and the other one is titiksha. Titiksha means the things that one has to go through, the difficulties that one puts up for the sake of the knowledge. And that is like going, for example, going to, this is a traditional interpretation, going to an ashram for the sake of the knowledge, and then the ashram is not your 5-star hotel, and neither does it have room service. And so that is the thing. And then there, of course, food will be there, bed will be there, everything will be there, but it will not be the kind of things that one might be used to. This kind of memory foam mattress and this whatever else, some creature comforts will not be there, and this kind of particular kind of a coffee and particular kind of things will not be there. And so rising above these kinds of needs, or rather putting these needs in a certain place, suspending these needs and focusing on the knowledge, and that is basically titiksha, because you have bigger things to gain. And here is a chance to not sweat the small stuff. Even if you are not at an ashram, what happens is that the more one studies Vedanta, the less time one spends reproducing the daily needs and samsara. And then this is what people have said. People have seen this. And what have they said? That everything gets simpler. The cooking gets simpler. And if the cooking gets simpler, there is not an explosion in the kitchen after this cooking has been done. So the cleaning gets simpler. Life in general gets simpler because one wants to spend the time in reveling in the teaching and the study rather than trying to reproduce life and in a myriad of various kinds of relationships and things that are not needing to be reproduced. They can reproduce on their own. Thank you very much. You don't have to sit and reproduce them. That is what the idea is. You don't have to sit and reproduce them. And so, therefore, the life gets a lot simpler. And titiksha means putting up with whatever you want, which is not there. Why? Because your sights are set elsewhere. This we have seen. So now, with that, we can look at verse number 8. Verse number 8 and 9, I think, covers all the qualifications here. So, Nigamacharya Vakyeshu Bhakti Shraddheti Vishruta निगमाचार्यवाक्येषु भक्तिश्रद्धेति विश्रुता चित्तैकाग्र्यं तु सल्लक्ष्ये समाधानमिति स्मृतम् चित्तैकाग्र्यं तु सल्लक्ष्ये समाधानमिति स्मृतम् Nigama. Nigama means Veda. Then there is a long A here. Then that A is also for Acharya. Nigama plus Nigama plus Acharya. Nigamacharya. Acharya means who? Teacher. Nigama, Veda. Veda including Vedanta. And Acharya. Vakyeshu. Vishaya Saptami. So, Vakyeshu means with reference to the words. Vakya, sentences. Words and sentences uttered by the teacher and uttered by the Shastra. Two things are pointed out. Shastra and then the microphone of the Shastra, which is the Acharya. The Acharya is the microphone of the Shastra. Why? Because that's what the Acharya does. The Acharya magnifies, amplifies the Shastra. If you ask the Acharya, say something new and original, there is nothing new and nothing original. Nothing at all. And, Indologists will talk about how old this civilization is and how much research has gone into showing that. It's really, really amazing. And so somebody, if they tell us that, oh, the world is 3,000 years old or something like that, we will respond by saying some of our buildings are 3,000 years old. How can we say that the world is 3,000 years old? And so here, so there is nothing new. What the Acharya's words, what the Acharya is saying, what the teacher is saying, those words are just what the Shastra says. So therefore, there is a bhakti, there is a reverence towards the Shastra and towards the words of the Shastra, towards the words of the teacher, and that is known as Shraddha. Vishruta means that is famous as Shraddha. The next qualification. We are just seeing the translation, then we'll see everything in detail. Then it is then the next one is called Samadhanam. Samadhanam iti smritam. This is remembered, recalled, known as Samadhanam. What is Samadhanam? Chitta ekagryam. Chitta ekagryam. Chitta ekagryam. Ekagryam means the single-minded focus. Chitta of the mind, the heart, the emotions, everything together. Single-minded focus to indeed sat lakshye, sallakshye. Plus la always becomes la. That the converts into la, so that's why you have a double L here, a very famous sandhi. So it is, consonant sandhi. And so sat lakshye. Sat eva lakshya. Lakshya means the goal. And what is the goal? The goal is Sat. Who is Sat? You, Ishvara. And towards that goal, there is an unswerving focus. Chitta ekagryam, where the mind and the heart and the senses, everything come together to focus on that. So whenever the mind goes, you bring it back. This is not just in the matter of paying attention in one class, but it is also lifelong. In life, so many things come, curved balls come, and then what are they called? Challenges come, fears come, so many things come. But then I'm unswerving in those kinds of situations, even though I may be taken aback briefly, I come back. I come back back on the wagon which is headed towards Sat. That is the idea. That I don't get derailed from Vedanta, no matter how tough the situation that I have to currently face in my life. So this is called, what is that called? It is called Samadhanam. Okay, let's look at the next one also, then we'll come back and see both. संसारबन्ध निर्मुक्तिः कथं स्यान्नेदयानिधे संसारबन्ध निर्मुक्तिः कथं स्यान्नेदयानिधे इति या सुदृढा बुद्धिः वक्तव्या सा मुमुक्षुता इति या सुदृढा बुद्धिः वक्तव्या सा मुमुक्षुता संसारबन्ध निर्मुक्तिः निर्मुक्तिः freedom. Nir here means means definitely. See, the definite freedom, the total freedom, the complete freedom. Samsara, freedom from what? The notion of bondage, the notion of bandha. And what kind of bandha? The bandha of samsara, or even better, the bandha that is samsara. It's not just the bandha of samsara, it's the bandha that indeed is in the form of samsara. And so this notion of that I am bound, that I am connected to a whole lot of people, situations, and events, yes, that is true, but that is only empirically true, not absolutely true. In fact, even the fact that, even the thought that I'm connected to this body, empirically true, not absolutely true. And so that has to be understood slowly. And then the dwelling upon this freedom. And again, it's an internal freedom. It's not like we are trying to get out of this body. No, we're not trying to get out of this body. We are not trying to get out of any relationship. We are not trying to get out of this world. We are not trying to get out of duties. We are not trying to do anything. We are just having a cognitive freedom in relation to the manifest empirical world of names, forms, people, situations, duties, and roles. They are all objectively seen as being inhabited, not subjectively inhabited as something that one has to, without me, this cannot go on. That is, that is some kind of a wrong understanding. And so that me itself, that ahankara, is what is interrogated here. So one may be having many different kinds of roles, many different relationships, friends, significant others, employers, employees, all these things will be there in life. And one is doing the things that one has to do, and then but with a sense of freedom. That is the muktihi here, and that is, and in this kind of an inquiry. And what is that inquiry? Katham syat. Katham syat samsara bandha vinirmuktihi. Katham syat me. Me means for me, fourth case, for me. Katham syat. How will it be achieved? What should I do? Oh Dayanidhe, hey Dayanidhe. Nidhi, treasure, treasury. Treasury of what? Compassion. Dayanidhe. Dayayaha nidhihi means the treasure, the one who is the treasury of compassion. So here the Guru is being addressed in this mock-up of how to understand this next value called mumukshuta. So, hey Dayanidhe, oh compassionate one, Oh, the coffer of the embodiment of compassion, the coffers of compassion. You who is so compassionate, you are the embodiment of compassion. Please tell me. I'm wondering, how will I, who is surrounded by so many obligations, and who is wondering how to free oneself of those obligations, how will this freedom take place for me? This kind of a thinking, this kind of a thinking where the Guru is brought in. Why is the Guru brought in? Because there is an acknowledgement that without Guru, this is not going to happen. That this kind of a thinking, this kind of an understanding, iti means this kind of an understanding. What kind of understanding? Sudridha buddhi. Sudridha buddhi. Dridha means unswerving understanding. Sudridha, that which is well convinced, well entrenched in this kind of an self-inquiry and understanding, that kind of an intellect, that kind of a thinking. Vaktavya, one should say, this should be said. What is that? Mumukshuta. Mumukshuta, mumuksha. Same thing. Freedom, the desire to be free. The desire to be free is the next qualification, the last qualification here. And then let's go, before we go in detail about these two, let us go back here and just refresh ourselves. So first we had, you see here, um, first it was presented, the qualifications, they can be confusing because we had four and then it obviously is more than four. So how to understand this and how it is presented here, let us look at that. So first, sadhanam bhavet. What sadhanam? Chatushtayam sadhanam bhavet, it was told. Fourfold qualifications. And then out of these four, these three were discussed first. First, Vairagya was discussed, number one. And then we had Viveka, number two, out of the four. Okay. Then, then we did. Then we went to the. Then we went to the third qualification, which is not clearly mentioned here, but it starts on verse number 6, and that is the third qualification is actually a six pack. So here we suspend the counting. So we have one Vairagya, and then we have Viveka, number two. Then number three is what is called, what is that called? Shama Adi Shatka Sampattihi. Shamadhi Shatka. Shatka means a group of six. Number three is actually a group of six. And what is the group of six? Then we start the counting, sub-counting here. Shama, and then two, Dama, and then Uparati, three, and then Titiksha, four, and then Shraddha, five, and then Chitta Ekagram, Samadhanam, six. Okay, is that clear? So from verse number 6 to 8, we are counting the number is all number 3, the big number 3 in our numbering. So it's A, B, C, D, E, F under number 3. Okay. So number 3 is a pack of 6, which is described in which this 6 pack is described in these three verses. And then so this samyak vivekah vastunas savai. So viveka vairagya, then this number 3 is actually 6. And then we come back to the other counting which we were doing before. And what is that? Then this is number 4. Mumukshita. This one is number 4. Okay. Yeah. So then what he said earlier was correct. There are 4 qualifications and there are only 4, but then the third one is split into 6. That's what is That's what can be confusing if we don't understand it properly. So that's why I am spending the time to delineate that here. Okay. So then let us look at 8 and 9 in a little more detail. Nigamacharya vakyeshu bhaktihi shraddha iti vishruta. So this is something which is very nice to ponder and very nice, very beautiful to understand. What this Shraddha that is being talked about, because the word Shraddha is not properly understood as a qualification, as a word. It is not properly understood at all because there is obviously some kind of a block, resistance, fear. So therefore, it's very easy to mistake this Shraddha and not understand it properly. And so, what is this Shraddha? If we dwell upon it, Nigamacharya Vakyeshu, it's very simple definition. It's not a big definition. Nigamacharya Vakyeshu Bhaktihi iti Shraddha Katitha. It is talked about, it is called, it is named. So, Nigamacharya Vakyeshu, the words of the teacher and the words of the Shastra are looked upon with reverence. Why? This is a very important question. Why? Why should I look upon the teacher's words with reverence? Then, of course, so if the teacher says, go jump in a well, should I go do that? Obviously not, but that's not the point here. That's not the point. The idea is that what the teacher says is not different from what the Shastra says. So then why should I receive the Shastra with reverence? Because there is no other way of losing self-ignorance. If self-ignorance has to be lost permanently, then I have to bank on the Shastra. Because I can't do it on my own, I need help. The acknowledgement that one needs help is not something which is a matter for shame. In fact, it is an acknowledgement of one's own intelligence. That I need help is an acknowledgement of one's own intelligence. It's the intelligent person who seeks help. The one who doesn't seek help, it feels like know it all and does things on their own. Where has that led one? Into a big soup. That's what it is. And so, therefore, seeking help is a sign of intelligence. And so, here, and why is it a sign of intelligence? Because the person has found out, oh, what is that? I can't do this on my own. Why? Because there is a discrepancy. Kartri karma virodha is there. What do I want to know? Me. Who is knowing this me? Me. And what kind of a me? A me fraught with a lot of not me's. And the me in which everything is internalized, all the series of wrong notions, etc. And these notions have to be dropped. And then who is dropping them? The one who is holding on to them tightly, or perhaps I should say the one who is being held hostage by them. And you have to tell your captors. What do you have to tell the captors? Release me. They will hold on to you tightly, even more tightly. This is the contradiction. And the captors, what are they making you do? First, they make you feel good. They kind of rub the ahankara the right way and say, oh, without you, this would have never happened. This is a lie, okay? And without you, the world cannot go on. Another lie. And you do things so well. Third lie. Oh, but what's the lie in that? I do these things very well. But yes, but the thing is, you may do these things very well, but then that's just you. It's not you who's doing them. And if you're not convinced, please go read the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And yes, here I will trust you to just read the translation because it's very easy. And then what does it say there? Yadyad vibhutimat sattvam. Whatever there is there praiseworthy within you is not you. It's me. It's there. Lord, Krishna takes back the intellectual copyright. And he says, nothing belongs to you, nothing is you. If you can sing well, that voice is not you, it is me. Then what do I, if you are the one who's creating everything, what do I create? Don't worry, you create lots of confusion for yourself. That's the only thing you can create, nothing else. And Swayam confused, Anyan confusayati. Here we can make it Sanskrit. Oneself is confused and confuses others also. And so, therefore, this is the problem. The problem is that the reason why Shraddha is not understood is because the problem itself is not understood. The problem is such that I have to somehow see that the problem is that I cannot dig my way out of this. It's easier to dig the way out of a prison complex. People have done that. Even recently, two fellows were on the lam. And then what got them was their desire for pancakes. The escaped convicts, they literally, they began holding spoons in their room and using a spoon and using some small toothbrush and other tools that they are allowed to have in the room, and fork, spoon and toothbrush. With that, they dug the hole. They found some kind of a weak spot in the wall, and then they dug a hole. There were no reinforcement bars, so that wall was little compromised. So they dug a hole, went, hitched a hike, and then they were apprehended after having their last supper at IHOP. Last supper means before they were taken back to prison food. And so they were in some pancake uh, pancake shop, eating pancakes, and the restaurant itself called the police. And that's why orange is a very important color, easy to spot in the thing. And that's why prisoners orange, construction workers orange. And if you want to sort of say there is some danger here, orange colored cones. So orange stands out. All right, yeah, famous color not just for swamis. And uh, and so here, this is what has to be understood, that there is no match. I can't manufacture the understanding that I'm already whole. I need help. Since the last life, I've been needing help, or even before that. I can't manufacture this knowledge. I can't manufacture the fact that this ignorance has to be gone, and I cannot dismiss the ignorance on my own. Why? Simply because it is what I can do is based on action, and the ignorance to be dismissed, the dismissal of ignorance is contingent upon knowledge. This is the only thing. Action and knowledge are like oil and water. They don't even mix in a salad dressing. Salad dressing, they'll put, oil and water and lemon juice and everything. And you'll see, even if you shake and then you pour it over your vegetables, there'll be globs of oil and water separating. They don't mix. Action is action, knowledge is knowledge. Action is finite. And here, how can the finite action lead you to the understanding that you are already infinite, regardless of whether you act or not? Not possible at all. And so, therefore, this is something this is a different realm of operating. Actions lead to finite results because the actions themselves are finite. And then Actions, the second problem with action is that it is dealing with objects, because there can't be any other kind of action. Any action deals with the objects, and then the objects themselves are finite. Actions are finite. Actions are four in number, generally speaking. So you go, you clean something, samskaryam, something that is dirty, you clean. Or you modify something like adding yogurt starter to milk, and then the whole milk is modified into yogurt. Vikaryam, samskaryam. And then apyam, something is far away from you, you go get it. Or you janyam, you somehow bring it forth through some formula, etc., etc. You create something. Which kind of action? These are the four actions based on the kinds of action. So what kind of an action will you use for knowing Atma, for gaining Atma? It cannot be cleaned because it is never dirty. It cannot be made into, it's not vikarya, means it's not you put two things together, because there is no second thing itself is not there to put together. It is not subject to modification. It cannot be created because it is uncreated, and it is never away from you. So you cannot use the action of trying to go get something like getting a glass of water from the kitchen. It's not like that. So the actions are useless. This I have to know before the Shraddha can come. No matter how refined and how complicated, the actions will not have any effect at all. This is the understanding, and that's what leads one to the teacher. Kicking and screaming, I mean, not out of choice. Nobody wants to be told you cannot know this and you need help, especially in matters of self-knowledge. One doesn't have a problem seeking help in worldly affairs. Everybody has stock market guru, music guru, cha-cha-cha, dancing guru, ballroom guru. And then there is also this life guru, life coach. You call them and you ask them, you tell them how your day is going, etc., etc. So many gurus, so little time. And there nobody has a problem. But here, in the matter which is so intimate, where the costs are so great, where one is losing time every day, here you need a guru. No. I don't need, that is very scary. Why is that scary? People have guru allergy. As soon as you say the word guru, they are gone. They disappear. Or if they stay for long, they get hives. That's what happens. They have to take antihistamine and then come to the class. And this is what happens. And why? Because then has to do with the own infrastructure. An infrastructure of wrong relationships or unresolved issues with authority figures, aka primary, quote unquote, caregivers, the primary caregivers in one's life. And that is what leads to this. Some authority issue, conditional love while growing up. I love you, therefore sit down. And then some kind of a over emphatic definition of duty is the environment that one was raised in. If you do this, I will love you. That's the hope of the child. You have to be good. You have to do this. And your whole life, your job is what? To please me. This is what, goes for parents. This is what happens. You have to please me. And it's not said overtly. It's very covertly in the upbringing itself, in the fabric of the upbringing. These beliefs are woven inside. And so, therefore, the child feels, oh, I have to do this because this is what is expected of me. But then there is some kind of a chafing. because if there is some kind of a fear, resistance, because this is contrary to the child's dharma. Dharma means here the way of life. Whatever the child is supposed to achieve in its life, this is contrary, completely contradictory. So, therefore, one is leading some kind of a life where there is an outward fear with regard to the authority figures. But then inwardly, one is feeling bound, one is chafing. And that same infrastructure one comes with, brings to the guru situation also. And ironically, the agent that frees, which is the guru, becomes what? Becomes in a way the binding agent due to lack of understanding. So somebody who is the one who is giving you a what is that called, a rope for the one who is in quicksand. Somebody is offering a rope, and then one suspects this is not a rope. What is this? This must be aropa. This must be some kind of a superimposition. I am not going to trust this rope. What choice do you have? Are there 10 other ropes? Yeah, looks like there is some other rope. Okay, take this. Choose whatever you want. It's not like that, because in fact, the other quick fixes that are offered out of samsara are quick, all right, because they quickly put you back in the quicksand. That's what they do. This is what it is. False ropes, false assurances, false prophets. Follow me. Why? We'll have a good time. Follow me. Why? Because I'll give you vairagya. How are you going to give vairagya? Well, all I'm going to do is tell you to give me all your money. And vairagya you have. Simple. That's all you have to do. Give all your money and vairagya is free. You got it freely. And so like this, there's all kinds of people in the marketplace. Unfortunately, the spiritual marketplace has become that, thanks to Kali Yuga. And so here, therefore, that's another additional reason. Who to trust? Who should I give my trust to? The answer to that is the one who is not desperate to receive your trust. That is the one. The one who doesn't need your trust, the one who doesn't say, come trust me. That is the one that is the correct patra. The patra means the correct recipient of the trust. Is the one who does not want your trust, who does not need your trust, is not desperate to gain your confidence and your trust. The one who offers this knowledge freely. The one for whom there is a free relationship with this knowledge. The one who does not have the pressure even to have a follower. That is the one, that is the altar where your trust belongs. That is what is Shraddha. And of course, do the research. Do some guru googling. Yeah, Google the guru. And then, what is that? Somebody told me this, that they have compiled a list of sketchy teachers and with whom some scam or other is associated. And it is in some website. I forgot what it was, what the website is, but this person came and told me that I have compiled with a group of people. We have compiled this website where you can just look. It's like the FBI's most wanted or something like that. Or in this case, the least wanted gurus, the ones who should not be sought after, and then you can type the name by which they are going, and then all the details of what they should not have done come out, because it's a matter of public record anyway. You can't really hide all these things. So then I said, how did you? They said that, oh, it took a lot of research and everything. And then, of course, Google also helped, the internet helped. How did it help? Because they would type the name and then say something like, show me the scams associated with such and such a person. That would be the thing. And then that's how they compiled all these things. And then it will say, don't, what is the problem with this successful teacher, at least on the face of it? So many felonies and so many problems, are out on bail or just out of jail. So many things. They have found out all these things and then they compile this. So do that. Do your research. Do the homework. And the Mundaka Upanishad that we are studying says find somebody from a proper lineage who does not destroy this. Looking for a teacher is like buying a mirror. First, when you go to the shop to buy the mirror, what do? You are checking up the mirror. You're looking at yourself, of course. But you have an idea of what you look like. And then you want the mirror to be reproducing the image without any distortion. So when you're looking into the mirror at the shop, you're not looking at yourself. You are checking up the mirror. You're checking up the mirror. It should show you as slim, trim, and 10 years younger than what you really look like. That is what you're trying to do here. You're checking up the mirror. You're not looking at yourself. Then you buy the mirror after selecting it from 50 other mirrors. You buy the mirror and you hang it in your house. You hang it in the bedroom. Next morning, you look at yourself. What are you doing now? You are not checking up the mirror. You are looking at yourself. The looking glass becomes an agent for being able to see yourself. The Guru is like that. In the beginning, there is a little trepidation. There is wondering, where will this lead me? Is this the right person? Is this the right way to? Is this the right person where I can place my trust? That is the question. Then when one is convinced, one has no other option than to use the Guru to look at yourself, just like the mirror is used to look at the reflection of the body. Guru is used to look at that Pratibimbita Chaitanya, reflected Atma in the mind, as though reflected Atma in the mind. That is the truth of which the Guru is going to reveal, just like it was revealed for her, for him, for her, from the beginning of time. That is the idea. So the lineage becomes important. The seeking of the teacher becomes important. Asking of the knowledge becomes important. Asking for the knowledge becomes important. And so this way, this is the what is called Shraddha. Shraddha here is the reverence for the knowledge, because the knowledge itself frees. The words of the Upanishad are the means of knowledge to be able to look at yourself. And just like you trust the mirror after hanging it in your room, similarly, you trust the Guru who is going to reveal the knowledge. Because if you don't trust the Guru, then the knowledge will not take place. Simple. But why is it that I do not trust? This is part B of the talk on Shraddha. Because that trust was eroded. When? In childhood. Children are clever. They figure things out. And some scared situation the child was in, the parents failed to protect. From what? The parents failed to protect the child. From what? Cockroach. Cockroach came and the child ran to the mother, grabbed hold of her clothes. What did the mother do? Climbed on the dining table and leaving the child down there. What did the father do? The father didn't even come into the room. Father just said, call pest control. And the child is left, oh, MG, I thought these were the protectors. They were Karta, Dharta, Samharta. They created me. They're supposed to take care of me. And here I am. They are gods for me. In fact, that is how it is. So father is the creator from the standpoint of the child, from the child's understanding. Mother is the creator. The child thinks of the mother and father as some kind of gods. They are infallible. The child has put all the trust in them. And that trust slowly gets eroded. Slowly gets eroded. When, for example, the parent says, speak the truth always, satyam vada, dharmam chara. And then what? And the parent is doing other things completely contradictory to this. Bell rings. Tell them I'm not at home. This is and then, this is how it used to be. Now, of course, nobody comes and rings the bell. So we are spared of these kinds of lies. But this used to be like this all the time. This used to be like that all the time. And what will the child go say? The child will say that mother said, father said that they are not at home. And of course, the visitor is very amused. Father said to tell you, he is not at home. Visitor says, where is the father? Hiding behind the pillar. And that's where the father is, lurking in his own house, as though he is a thief. And this is a kind of a contradiction. Children are clever. They notice these contradictions. And the trust in the mother and the father is eroded, totally eroded. Mother unavailable, father available but inconsistent. All this makes the child not trust anybody, anything. But somehow it has to grow up. And even in this atmosphere of distrust, it grows up somehow. Relying on things but not quite trusting them. Grows up, grows up, grows up. And the trust that was lost in the mother and the father has to be recovered before the knowledge of Vedanta can begin. The trust that was lost in the mother and the father has to be recovered and replaced in the mother and the father of the universe. In the discovery of the mother and the father of the universe, the trust that was lost in the local mother and the local father is regained. But how? Because you see, the inevitability of the parentage. That you were born into this family, inevitable. Karma, it's a karmic connection. That the childhood was nothing to write home about, karmic connection. That I wish I was the eldest, but I was the middle child, karmic connection. And so I see the inevitability of this childhood, along with all its joys and its challenges. However it was, this is how it is. This is how the childhood was. This is a fact. This is how it was. And what is Ishvara. So the circumstances of the childhood is Ishvara. You see, here is where Vedanta differs from psychotherapy. Psychotherapy stops at the parents. Well, the fact that you are walking around is itself good. The therapist will say, I would have been under the covers had I had this kind of a parentage. And it's left there, hanging. The heart is not really happy. Somewhere one knows this is not the place to stop. There must be something beyond this. That's why Pujya Swamiji used to call Vedanta super therapy. Because it transcends this, local relationship with the local mother and father. It goes from Vyavaharika to Paramarthika right then and there. It's just amazing. Because the trust that is lost in the local mother and father is regained by understanding by the discovering the mother and father of the universe as Ishvara, Maya Shakti, that goddess. And what is that here now? It is to see that all this would not have been any other way. This is what is the real meaning of the terms in the Taittiriya Upanishad. Matrudevo bhava, pitrudevo bhava, pitrudevaha bhava. It's not like, oh, let the father consider, this is usually translated but wrongly. Consider the father to be God. Consider the mother to be God. It's a tall order when neither the mother nor the father behaves like God. In fact, their behavior is very, very odd. G silent. Okay. So if you take away G, God becomes odd. And that's what it is. So how can they be God? It's not about them. It's about you. Matra Devo Bhava is an ingenious term. Be the one to whom the inevitable presence of the mother, however she was, is a manifestation of Bhagavan. Be the one unto whom the father is a manifestation of Bhagavan. And Atithi Devo Bhava. Atithi means anything that drops in. It's a metaphor. It means guest, but it's a metaphor for anything that drops in uninvited. Like this, so many things come in the way. So many things come in the way, but we learn to be flexible. We learn to go with the flow. That is what the idea is. The flow is Ishvara. And when you go with the flow, when you practice going with the flow and accompanied by this knowledge, what happens? You know you are the flow. You're one with the flow. And so therefore, this is something which is very beautiful. You see beyond the local mother and father. When you discover the mother and father of the universe, this is just wonderful. Very, very lovely. That this local mother and father, whatever their omissions and commissions, it culminates in the inevitability, in that which is the infallible. Infallible means inevitable. That therefore we don't say God is infallible. That's a setup. That which is infallible is Ishvara. That is the understanding. And so the Shraddha, the Bhakti come because I see that there is something here for me to understand that I cannot understand otherwise. The Guru becomes a stand-in for this knowledge because the pages of the book do not reveal anything. They have to be turned into live seeds of the means of knowledge. And that live transmission alone makes a difference. That's why it is not recommended that one does any kind of reading of the Upanishad. Why? Because the reading of the Upanishad is done how? Is done by the same infrastructure. Same infrastructure. The one that is doubting oneself, the one that is afraid of oneself, the one that fears oneself, is the reading the Upanishad. What will happen? Nothing. A big headache will come. Somebody said, I tried reading, it's very boring. Of course it will be boring because you don't understand. And so reading the Upanishad gives just a bigger complex than one had before. It's not going to help because the person reading the Upanishad has the same infrastructure that has to be dismissed. How can you have the same infrastructure, use the infrastructure that needs to be dismissed in order to ingest the Upanishad? Not possible. There is a contradiction. That which is imbibing the words of the Upanishad is the one that needs to be dismissed as a superimposition upon the Atma, the knower, the Pramata. The status of the knower here is being dismissed. So how can you say, how on earth can you say this? The status of the knower is going to be dismissed. The dismissal of the status of the knower is what we are talking about. So if the knower is in place, As in the case of all branches, all other branches of knowledge, the knower can be comfortably in place, knowing that what is known is separate from the knower. Here, the knower itself is called into question. Because the knower, known means of knowledge, this triputi, this triad is resolved by understanding that it is that same consciousness that morphs as the knower, the same consciousness that morphs as the known, and the same consciousness that connects the knower to the known through eyes, ears, and any other means of knowledge. So therefore, Shravana. So therefore, I know this, and this Shraddha alone will give me the knowledge. In fact, that is said in the Bhagavad Gita, Shraddhavan labhate jnana. The one that has Shraddha gains the knowledge. So Shraddha, what is Shraddha? It is the ability to give the benefit of the teacher and the Shastra to prove itself. It is the ability to give the benefit of the doubt to the teacher. Yeah, I can't see this. And whatever you're saying sounds incredulous. But right now, but I'm going to give the benefit of doubt. Maybe there is something to see here. That is Shraddha. That openness is Shraddha. That reverence and bhakti is Shraddha. And then that is the fifth qualification out of the number 3 that we talked about. And the last one is Samadhanam. So Samadhanam is getting on the wagon no matter how many times one feels derailed. Something happens, one goes away, but it is as though going away. Then one comes back as though coming back. But the pursuit of this knowledge requires a commitment, and that commitment is called samadhanam, the single-minded focus, not letting distractions come in the way as far as possible. And that includes in class, not looking here, not looking there, not going off into some happy place, imaginary, starts to think about other things. No, being present. That is samadhanam. And out of the class also, a longer term definition of samadhanam is always being with the knowledge. You may be doing 100 things, but you're focused on the knowledge. You're focused on the doing, you're not focused on doing the things other than to gain qualification, gain spiritual growth, emotional maturity in order to qualify for this knowledge. That is the idea. Like and an ancient story describes this as a person who is young and newly in love. So then wherever that fellow goes, he sees the face of his beloved. He looks up to see the sky and sees the face of the beloved in the cloud. Oh, this cloud looks just like this one. And he sees everything. Everywhere he goes, he sees that. That is ekagrata. And that's what happened to Tulsidas's wife. She was so besotted with him. And after they were married, she was so besotted with him. And once she went to visit her relatives, and then it was the other way around. Tulsidas was besotted with his wife, could not be away from her. And once we went to visit her relatives, a flash flood came. And he was so worried. He was like, oh my God, her arrival is delayed. I have to go in search of her. He braved the flood, risked his life to go find the house in a village where everything was underwater. He was so worried. And then he found that she was there. And then he knocked at the window with a pebble, with the help of a pebble. He threw the pebble. She came out. She looked out of the window. And then instead of saying, oh, you will catch the death of the cold, how nice that you came in search of me, how sweet of you. No. She just said, are you crazy? She said, if you devoted 1/10 of the attention that you are giving me on to God. By this time, you would have understood yourself. You would have gained this knowledge by this time. Go back, he said. Go back and do what you're supposed to do. Great lady. And then he went back and applied himself to the teaching, to the writing, to his life. And that is basically how, that is what is called Chitta Ekagrata. And then this, and then the only one more qualification is left out of the four, which is Mumukshuta or Mumuksha. And that we'll see next time. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Guru